Hello guys, so this is my review of Euphoria season 3 episode 3. So guys, of course we opened the episode with Rue actually explaining how Jules got into the sugar baby and sugaring stuff and everything. Guys, it was in this episode, of course you got to realize how weird people are. Guys, people are very weird. So the first client she actually meets, of course, he says he's a dentist. The first client Jules meets is a dentist. He's never, ever, ever had any girlfriend. And he's 48, guys. He's 48 and he's a dentist. So, guys, discover that he has this fetish, which is licking ties. I don't even know you know, what fetish that is called. So, guys, when we see their date, of course, we see how she now meets now the third sugar person she meets is a sugar daddy who is a plastic surgeon. Guys, just from the date, you can already tell that he's really, really enamored by her. Like he already knows that, of course, he knows Jew's history as a transgender. He even had to ask Jews, how did you like how did you get into this, and when did you start transitioning and all those things. Like he was actually enamored by her. Then we also discovered that he's also weird too. And they said because Jules was also very comfortable with him, because of course, I don't know if I would say comfortable. Well, Rue was explaining that Jules really loved him until he became the only sugar daddy she had, basically. And guys, in one scene, we see him rapping a clean film over Jules. This man is bloody weird. Like, I do think the creator, of course, of this series, which is Sam Levinson, I do think he has a fetish when it comes to someone was saying they need to check his hard drive because the things he's writing here is insane. Like they literally wrapped her around with a cling film. Because guys, of course, cling film is used to cover food, preserve food, to like maybe eat later. And guess what? They are using it to wrap around with jewels. Then, of course, we cut to the scene where you see how Rue is moving up the ranks with, is it Paliamo? Because is he working for, I don't know, I've forgotten his name. I don't know how to call his name like properly. So it's Paliamo. We see her actually learning the business, selling guns to clients and everything. And the next scene we see is her having a conversation with Paliamo. She actually opens up to Paliano and say, you know what, if I actually make a lot of money in this, I'm going to go legit. Looks like that angers Paliano for a little bit, because he's like, what do you mean you're going to go legit? So are you trying to say what I'm doing here is not legit? She says, I don't know. You know that type of feeling you do and how you behave when you're actually allowed to speak your mind, but not actually speak your mind. So there's this person, of course, who actually later goes on to do, well, a little bit of an adventure with Rue that leads to because of course, guys, this episode is called, is it the Ballad of Paladin? There's a reason why it's called Ballad of Paladin, and at the end of this video, you're actually gonna know. So the person whom she actually eventually goes to this side adventure to where Rue was actually working in the first place with that woman. Guys, there is something about that woman's voice that terrifies me. Like, I know I understand that people speak slowly, but the person that plays that part of the woman, of Ruth from a boss, she's killing it. Because even when in episode one, she appears to Rue and say, Rue, I've been looking for you. You owe me, and you owe me this amount and this amount. I'm like, damn, there's just something about her that is so unsettling. She speaks so slowly, so slowly. It's like you're even more likely to fear her than even Nate Jacobs, of course, of earlier seasons, that shouts at people in a very aggressive tone. There's just something about this woman that scares me. So, of course, her sidekick asks her and says, do you have a problem? Do you have a moral problem with what you're doing? She says, no, I don't care. Oh, if I make money, I make money. And we all know she was actually lying. She was actually basically lying. So, of course, during when they're actually having this conversation, do you remember the pig that Guillermo Zipoliamo sent to Rue's former boss in episode one? Oh my god, the pig, like the pig just came out from nowhere and was just peeing and doing all sort of nasty things you could imagine a pig could do. And of course, Palermo gets angry, takes a gun, and shoots the pig, and blood splashes everywhere in one of the strippers' face. She shouted, and I was like, ew! It was so chaotic, guys. It was so chaotic. Then, of course, when the chaos had died down, Palermo was very angry and says, what can we do to this woman to make her know that we are not also messing around and that we can also be dangerous as her? Then Runa brings up the suggestion and say, you know what? The best way to get her is through her damn parrot called Paladin. And guys, remember, the title of this episode is The Ballad of Paladin. So, of course, we cut to the scene where I don't know how, we see Jules and it is the morning or the day of the wedding between Cassie and I can't believe it, and Nate. I nearly forgot his name there. Is within, let's say, the wedding of course between Nate and Cassie. And of course, Jules does not get invited, but weirdly, Rue gets invited. Rue gets invited, Maddie gets invited, and of course, they asked Rue to bring a plus one. And of course, Jules was saying, why am I even going to this wedding anyway? I was not even invited. And Rue was like, no, they actually invited me and asked me to be a plus and bring a plus one. So you are my plus one. And of course, we know that like Rue is making money, and right now she says, "You're my sugar daddy." Actually, Rue's money gave it to is it well, of course gave it to Juice and said, "Please wear something nice to the wedding. I'm your sugar daddy now and everything." So of course we cut to the scene with Maddie arriving to Casey Nate's wedding, and she looked actually very fantastic. Like, but actually, it was actually very provocative, very provocative. I'm like, my days is. I'm like, yes, my days. Like, Jesus. I'm like, my goodness, my God. Like, Maddie, how can you wear that to a wedding? But after all, she actually looked really beautiful. Then we also cut to a scene with Nate spilling out his guts, spilling actually being very distressed with him actually facing the decision of actually married Casey. And we also cut to Casey being worried about Nate not spending the night, the previous night before their wedding. And of course, we cut to the wedding scene where everyone is seated together and and of course, we also cut another scene with Jules and Rue arriving to the wedding. Guys, everyone looked really fabulous. Then I was saying to myself, I'm like, guys, if you see the dress, like these pictures don't even do it justice. If you see the dress that what's her name that Jules was wearing, it was actually quite crazy. And I'm like, Jules, how can you wear that to a wedding? Like everybody, guys, everyone in this wedding was just wearing what they wanted in the wedding. Then, guys, come to think of it, when they had sat all together, when Maddie, Rue, and Jules, of course, had sat together, of course, you see Nate's father looking at Jules. They were both looking at each other. Guys, if you remember, earlier to the season, even though I've not really watched the season that much, of course, I watched parts of the clips, of course, where, as you know, Jules and Nate's father actually were having an affair. Is it not crazy? Because Nate also had an entanglement with Jules. And of course, we see him also still spilling, we still see Nate actually still spilling his guts before he actually makes it to the altar. Then you've got his brother advising him and saying, oh, you know, it's Maddie, you know. She, of course, she's been obsessed with you since high school. It could be worse. Guys, if anyone actually speaks about me about my wedding, that's actually a red flag not to actually continue with the wedding. So, of course, we see Maddie's mom walking her towards the aisle, of course, towards the, is it the aisle or towards the altar? And she actually is saying the most, should I say, despicable story. She actually is narrating to Casey how bad her wedding went. Like, seriously, your daughter is walking towards the altar to go meet her future groom. That kind of story is not what you should be saying. That type of a story is not what you should be saying to your daughter. You should be advising her that today is going to be the best day of her life. Today is going to do that, do that, do that, do that. That's not what you should be actually talking to your, of course, to your daughter about. Like, I mean, you're supposed to tell her she's going to kill it. You're supposed to tell her she's going to do this, she's going to do that. But you know what? Well, they end up actually making it to the altar. They say their vows, and they also cut to the part where, after everything is finished, they've said their wedding vows, they've done everything. Of course, both Maddie, Maddie's no Casey's sister, Jules and Rue meet and they discuss about how far they have made it. Of course, after high school and everything, and Jules gets a call, and she informs. No, Rue gets a call, and she informs Jules that she has to leave because, of course, guys, remember when I was saying about the bird paladin that Rue's famous boss had. So when they were calling Rue, well, I will not spoil it now. I'll actually tell you guys later. So of course, because Guillermo actually needed Rue, she had to leave. So right now we also meet, of course, Nate's father and Jules having a conversation. Which, to be fair, I do believe, if I was Jules, I don't think I would have wanted closure because, and I don't think I would have still been fascinated by him, because actually when she went up there to ask Nate's father, do you remember me? He said, of course I remember you. It's not every day you run into your son's classmate who you had an affair with. And I just see the relationship very weird, and I will never ever see eye to eye how weird, how I'll never see their relationship as romantic because it never should have happened in the first place. So we cut to, of course, the wedding drama scene, and when I think when Nate's mom was making a speech about how proud she is of Nate, let's say there was something she said that was actually very, very spiky and very slimy or spiteful, because she was saying there was the first person he brought home, and at all she didn't like him, he didn't like that she brought this one home and everything. I was like, to Nate's mom, I was like, why would you actually refer to Maddie? Because of course, like, why would you actually um try to do that to Maddie, or to actually shade Maddie that she was not the right fit for your son? Or why, like, and even when she arrived at the wedding, she was saying, I can't believe she showed her face there. No, madam, your son and his, of course, now wife invited her there. Why would you have so much vim for this woman whom your son actually maltreated? Okay, now you've got Casey as your daughter-in-law. Now there you have it. Of course, we do know that, of course, even though Casey demanded for 50,000 flowers, $50,000 worth of flowers, of course, Nate, of course, we know that Nate is, he's a little bit, well, shall I say, it's a little bit sketchy. Not a little bit sketchy, it's actually sketchy. Do you know why? Because, of course, the person whom he owes money to actually approaches him on the wedding. And Casey is like, wait a minute, wait a minute, what is going on? What's going on? Wait, why is this man approaching us? Why is this man approaching us? And it was like, not now. The man said, what do you mean not now? You owe me money. And I'm trying to actually, yes, it's your wedding day that I'm actually trying to approach you with. And you're telling me, oh, you owe me money, you owe me money, you owe me money, and you don't want to give my money. You're going to give my money. So the man actually backs off and waits for the perfect opportunity. Of course, we do have the bride and groom dance, and you can see Casey's face. Casey's face is very scared, like she's scared. She knows the night is not going to go well. And we do see, um, oh my God, I can't believe I've just, no, I'm not forgetting her name. We do see Maddie having a moment of an epiphany, this kind of like moment of sadness. Whether she, I don't know if I can describe what she's feeling, but I know she's feeling sadness. Then this look right here made me think Maddie actually won. Yes, Maddie won. And even if, like, thank God it wasn't Casey. I mean, thank God it wasn't Maddie that was dancing with Nate. Thank God it was Casey. Do you know why, guys? Because they deserve each other. They deserve each other. And I do think it was a mixture of, why could he not treat me good as he treats her good? Why? 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 I do think this is what the look was given. So yeah, we see we see also another person whom Nate has calmed from, trying to confront him and say, you know what, you need to act like what is happening? I thought you were not broke, I thought you were not this, I thought you were not that. But he was like, no, I'm not that broke and everything, you know. And actually I don't know how he does it. He manages to actually makes him to be calm. And here you see Casey also speaking to the man of the wife um Nate was actually making to be calm. So the woman was like, we invested our kids' college fund in it. Then Casey was like, girl, how is it my business? So Casey was like, girl, how is it my business? Like, how is it my business that you invested your kids' college fund in it? Girl, it's none of my business. Do you understand? And she's so mouthy, guys. She's like, the fact that he may owe some people does not mean he does not have money. Guys, she was just faking it. You know how she could fake. So, guys, here we cut to a scene where both Jules, no, both Brew and also Palermo's other employee, who I believe, what I've just said was Rue's sidekick, was visiting Rue's former boss to go, guys, you know what? I'll explain it later. So now you see Casey's sister and Jules having a discussion. Then she says this is why she doesn't want to get married, because if it's back in the day, they would have sold her for some perfect house. Then guess what? Then um how do I call it? The Jules asked her, are you still a virgin? Then do you know what she says? She says it's better than herpes, guys. Then you know she's still actually a virgin. Then you see, because of course there's a part where there's a part where I don't know. I think I've actually I think I've actually lost the frame. Okay, guys, before you see this actual frame that is happening here, guys, there was a part where actually Cassie like confronts Nate and say, "You're a liar. You lied to me. You lied that you could give me the traditional housewife's like lifestyle. You lied to me that you could take care of me. You lied to me that this could happen and this could happen. Okay, so then why are you not providing?" It's like, oh, men provide. And guys, there was something happened, and so she was trying to open a bottle of champagne, and the cock that actually, of course, guys, you know what a cock is on top of a champagne. It actually hits Nate's eye and he gets angry. So this is a picture of him in the kitchen and he's furious. Guys, this is when we see a little bit of Nate Jacobs actually like the old Nate Jacobs actually like you could see his eyes actually like spewing through the new and reformed in quotation marks Nate Jacobs. And guys, he goes back to the limousine and actually confronts her as if nothing happens. Then, guys, remember when I said, remember the other time when I just earlier in the video when I said, of course, Rue and another person had to go, and the person who asked her about her moral conduct or her moral conscience, and like actually working for Palermo. So they actually go over to Rue's from a boss to poison Paladin, which is a pet parrot to roost from a boss. And guys, remember the title of this episode 3 is the Ballad of Paladin. So there's a lot of significance with the title and what actually happens in this episode. So guys, of course you can see this is something they put in the water of the parrot. Of course the water that the parrot consumes. And guys, of course you know what happens in the end. um so actually he was actually brave to actually poison them, you know, like to actually poison that bird in front of them, because actually the guys they nearly actually shot him, to be fair, because so guys, um so we cut into the scene where Nate and Nate and Casey arrived to their, of course, mansion. And of course, guys, that same man who confronted them at the wedding is there seated beautifully on their parlor sofa. And look, he's like, no, please, I'm gonna pay. Please, please have mercy on me. The man is like, you're crazy. So the man actually, of course, he has someone who is doing his dirty work for him. So they punched him, and guy, look at the blood, guys. Then look at Casey. When Casey went to actually go and stop it, actually they gave her a broken nose. Then guys, if you cut to the scene, my sister shouting, "It's in my nose, my nose, my nose!" Guys, she does not even give a damn if her husband is getting beat behind her, and she's there crying and explaining to the man, and the man is there laughing and eating his food unprovoked. So she's there crying and explaining to the man that, "Oh my God, why would you do this?" He says, "No, I'm sorry." Look, guys, she was crying, and she did not give a crap. She did not care. That is like, she does not care if that man is getting beaten. Like, it's his business if he wants to get beaten. So she actually didn't give a damn. She did not give a crap at all. She didn't give a crap that the husband was getting beaten. Then the man who was actually eating the stuff was saying, "Don't cry, you're gonna ruin your makeup." And guys, do you know what happened? Guess what happened? After they had given him a good beating, guys, they cut one of his toes. They cut one of his toes, guys. Blood was just spewing out. Like guys, it was scary as flip. Like then when she cut, she was shouting and she was crying. And is this look where she knows, she actually says to herself, "What have I gotten into?" Then of course, guys, we cut into another scene with Rue actually getting stopped by the police. Actually getting stopped by the police. And you're like, "God, please, let nothing happen. Let nothing happen to Rue. Let nothing happen to Rue. She should just be on her own and everything." So guys, of course, the episode ends. So guys, these are my final thoughts, right? Guys, I'm so happy that Maddie and Nate did not end up together. I'm so happy because Maddie deserves so much more. And I do believe that Casey and Nate are right for each other. And where Nate thinks his craziness stops is where is where Casey's own is beginning. Because she was saying, like, if you, because the thing is, guys, even though I've said I've not watched, let's say, season one and season two, guys, I've watched some episodes of season one and season two. I've not just completely watched it. There was this part where let's say Casey was actually like Nate was confronting Casey about about how crazy she is and about how messed up as a human being she is. She's like, "If you think you're gonna treat me the way you treated Maddie, you're crazy." Because where if you think you're crazy, I'm crazier. I'm just so happy. And even though she had that like let's say that nostalgic moment where she looks very sad with Casey getting married to Nick. Thank God that's not her life. Because yes, I know she's a gay boss. Of course, she has that tendency in her to actually feel very, you know, very calm and very sad sometimes. But thank God. Guys, I don't know if I'm gonna continue this review of the movies, guys. But guys, if this video gets up to let's say 11K views, I'm gonna do episode 2. And guys, please make sure you like the video. Thank you.